Hey, what's up, guys? Good Wednesday morning. It's December 16th. And I was just thinking back at how fast this year went. I swear, every year that I get older, it just flies by. I mean, just having been here for a few days now, it feels like I just got here. It feels like just 2 days ago I was in New York, and then before you know it, I was back here again. I mean, just everything's just been a blur, but it's almost Christmas. Just unbelievable. That's kind of my thought for the morning. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. And gosh, we're almost half. Well, I guess today would be halfway through the week, but we're not quite there yet. I know you guys are just getting started for the day. So anyway, hope you're doing great. Everything's going out really, really well out here in LA. We're working away, so we're just getting a ton of stuff done. Anyway, let's get to the questions. I know that's what you guys are probably here for. So, this is a question about accelerators. I know I've talked about them a decent amount in some of the previous blogs, and of course, you're going to get to see a lot about accelerators as the program progresses. So, the question is, hi, could I take a spin class or use the elliptical instead of the accelerator, and how long should the accelerator be done for? Great questions. And if you get a chance, check out the FAQs because I believe that we do touch on the accelerators over there. Now, here's the beauty of the accelerators. It can be done walking, it can be done hiking, it can be done swimming, it can be done on an elliptical, it can be done on a spin bike. Accelerators are basically medium intensity exercise. Now, I hesitate to say medium intensity because the one thing I want you to do is scale them back a little bit. I do not want high intensity exercise for the accelerator. Now, we do play with the intensity. Essentially, accelerators are just long duration exercise where we play between a low intensity and then a higher intensity. But now, and the original accelerators, they're done walking. And I say walking because the one thing I don't want you to do is move up to a point where you're jogging or running. And there's a few reasons why I don't want this to happen. Essentially, we're manipulating all of our nutrition around this exercise. So a lot of times when you guys are doing your accelerators, we've pulled a lot of the starchy and the sugary carbohydrates out of your system. So they're not in your body. Now, granted, your body is trying to supply blood sugar by itself. So it's utilizing the liver. The liver is a very generous organ. And it's pushing sugar into the blood to try to supply it to the organs and, of course, to the working muscles. But we're not going to be, I don't want you quite at the intensity at which your body needs to utilize sugar for fuel. So I don't want you building up a huge burn in those muscles. So, and don't worry, I will get down to the question about the spin class and the elliptical. Now, there's a few things that we like to do with the accelerators. Now, keep in mind, everything that we want to do here really is it's results by design, not results by coincidence. So, a lot of times when most of us we want to jump into an exercise regimen, we just go all out, and I want to do a 1 hour spin class, and I want to consume 1,200 calories a day because I'm going to get instant gratification, and that's fantastic. However, I always talk about playing poker with the body, and so when we're trying to create a long duration transformation, the last thing you want to do is just show your body all the cards at once. You play one card at a time. And keep in mind, just by playing one card, that poker game lasts a long time. But if you play all of your cards at one shot, well, your body's going to figure it out real quick, it adapts, and of course everything slows down from there. So, and what I'm getting at is that a lot of times, keep in mind, whatever it is that you begin doing when you begin your exercise and your nutrition regimen, your body's going to adapt to it. So for some, that adaptation just takes a couple weeks. For others, that adaptation takes months. What does this mean? Well, of course, for those, the adaptation that takes a couple weeks, it means you get great results at first, and then after a couple weeks, boom, plateau. Great, what do I do now? Well, it means you have to increase your exercise and decrease your calories more in order to keep dropping. For others, that adaptation takes months. So those are those lucky suckers that, sure enough, while you're huffing and puffing and doing your best and you're not dropping a pound, your buddies, they just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. Sure enough, maybe 3 or 4 months in, then they start to plateau. All right, so there's a lot of different things that are going on here, and it could be adaptation, it could be, a lot of their genetic tendencies, it could be some nutrition, it could be some exercise. However, what I want to talk about is, of course, that adaptation. So let's talk about the spin class. Accelerators really are designed, and the way that they're built out, there's 4 different accelerators. There's getting started, which is 15 minutes. That's it, 15 minutes. We control the rest of our fat loss with our nutrition. Then there's beginner, which is 30 minutes. There's intermediate, which is 45 minutes. And then there's advanced. Now, before in the 2-week quick start, I had played around with, of course, getting started was just 10 minutes, then 20 minutes, and then 40 minutes. So let's throw those out. We're just going to put those aside for now, because once we get into the full program, that's going to be a 15-minute getting started, 30-minute beginner, 45-minute for the intermediate, and then 60-minute for the advanced. And of course, if you're just getting started, it means you've been sedentary for a long time, and walking is still a challenge. So all I'm going to ask is for 15 minutes of movement. And of course, when I give you the intensity, I'm going to put my phone down real quick. When I give you the intensity, I say, okay, today's low intensity is a 2 and high intensity is a 9. It doesn't mean an all-out sprint. It means that's an exertion scale that's relative to you. And so a 9 is still within your ability level. It just means that you're pushing it a little bit, but not too much. And then you slow it down to a 2. And then, of course, we're going to play around with 1 and 10, 2 and 9, and then 5 and 6, which is really this middle of the road, kind of a long duration, low intensity cruise for a long period of time. So once you're comfortable with those 15 minutes after getting started, we can move up to beginner. Some people are already at the beginner level, and those are people that, walking is still difficult, but they can get up and they can move around. And then, of course, intermediate means that you've been active maybe 1 to 2 times a week. And then advanced, those are the people who are already active and they work out several times a week and they can move. So, of course, everything is done on an exertion scale of 1 to 10, and that's relative. I'm still working on an exertion scale. Everybody's working on an exertion scale. Lance Armstrong works on an exertion scale, of course, and heart rate monitors. But regardless, anybody can. Even David, when he was beginning his journey at 630 pounds, he was working on an exertion scale. A 10 for him was very different than a 10 for him then was very different than a 10 from him now. So we play with those different durations based on your ability level. So can you use a elliptical machine for your accelerator? Absolutely, absolutely. And this is actually going to go back to one of my favorite questions that everybody always asks. Well, what's the best kind of cardiovascular exercise? Well, the best answer is it's the kind of cardiovascular exercise that you enjoy the most, because that's the one that you are most inclined to stay with, and the one that you're most inclined to use for a long duration of time. So just pick something that you really enjoy. Do that for a while. Now, keep in mind also, is your body going to adapt to that? Yeah, absolutely. So after a little while, try something new. Variety really is the spice of life. So have some fun with it. If you prefer the elliptical machine, knock yourself out. Really enjoy that elliptical machine and go through your accelerators there and go through your 15. And then after your body's adapted to that 15, that's why it's designed to bump up to a 30. And then your body will adapt to that. Then we bumped up to 45. Now what's happening is that as we go through this, what we call a progressive overload over time, your body continually gets results. It's playing that one card at a time. And that's how we create a long-term transformation. And after a while, before you know it, you're going to find yourself at 60 minutes of accelerating. We've manipulated our nutrition around it. You're going to be burning a lot of fat in the process. And then once your body adapts to that, that's when we get to have a lot of fun, and we really start to manipulate the nutrition around that just to get things going. So beware if you're just now starting out, beware jumping into a spin class, because chances are a lot of spin classes, they're already looking at that 60-minute to 90-minute range. And so you're showing a lot of cards at your body, especially if you're getting started, where you could be getting phenomenal results with a fraction of the time. So really start to look at your nutrition structure and then play with your progressive overload from there. Play with your accelerators with the any kind of cardiovascular type activity that you like. Have some fun with it. Really have some fun with it. And that's really what it's all about. So, hope that answers some questions, guys. Go have a wonderful Wednesday, and I'll see you in a couple days from here in LA. See ya.